guess what? I am drinking out of my Lead with Generosity cup. Yay! Okay, so I want to jump in and I want to help you really think like a millionaire. So do you guys like my tree back there? Loving it. I want to talk to you about thinking like a millionaire because I meet a lot of really ambitious people, and with their ambition comes like this huge frustration of not growing fast enough. And so let me share this with you. So when you feel like you feel overwhelmed, you feel frustrated, and you know that you're made for more, you know that you could probably create a better result than you're creating, but often what we do is we put our priorities in the wrong order. So I'll give you an example, first in relationships, and then I'll move into business. Because it's like the way we do one thing is the way we do everything. You probably already know this, but knowing it and applying it are two different things. So recently my husband and I have been doing, we've been doing devotionals together, and we've been talking about them. And the communication has definitely up-leveled our marriage, like to a whole nother level. Like he was saying to me yesterday or day before yesterday that we've never been this good. And it's not a fad, it's because we're communicating more. And so I share this with you because what we prioritized was building together. What we prioritized was we tried to do date nights and we never really loved them. So we prioritized, traditional ways of doing things, and yet we just seemed to not really get the results that we wanted to. And so what happened was we started to not prioritize the relationship, and we prioritized the things around the relationship that we thought would make us happier, more content. So for instance, and I also don't want to put into factor, like it's not like our relationship was bad. There were a lot of things working. Just like in your business, it's not like it's bad. It's just, there's probably a lot of things that are working. But if you don't prioritize the right things, then the business doesn't grow. If you don't prioritize the right things in a relationship, then the relationship doesn't grow. It might coexist. It might get a little bit of traction. It might get some history that feels good, or some history moments that you love. That's no different than like you had a good sales cycle, or maybe, you had a good moment in your marriage. You have these moments in your past that become history moments that feel good. And I think I think what my husband and I were doing was we were coexisting in a marriage that was good, but we knew it could be much better. Well, I have those same feelings inside of my business. Like even as I go into 2020, I look at like what really worked in 2019, but what is not going to work for me in 2020. So what really worked was allowing some things to bleed and allowing, the company to grow without control. What didn't work was lack of communication. And it's interesting because that same mirror was happening inside of my business, or inside of my marriage. And so when I interview like people who have not just great marriages, have extraordinary marriages. I don't want an average business. I don't want an average marriage. I don't want an average body. I don't want any of that. Like you're never going to find me in an average state because I don't like living there. Now, I have no issues with anybody else living there, but chances are if you follow me on Coffee with Shanda, you don't like to live in average either. And so the question is what are you doing with it? What are you doing with that pull inside you to get to the other side so that you're not living in average? Like if one other person tells me, oh, it's normal to, like if you've ever had a baby, you hear this, it's normal to, have a breakdown in your business will pull back, or in your relationship when you have a child because of the fact that, now you have this next child. Well, why would you want to ever settle for that? I mean, I know people who have had new babies and they're out dancing, ballroom dancing with their spouses once a week, and so the communication is there and the relationship is there. It's no different in your business. So what does it come down to? Like what has been the thing to skyrocket my business? And I'm fairly, I wouldn't say a newlywed, but I mean, my husband and I have only been married for 2.5 years. But what I can tell you is I wouldn't have wanted to live the next 50 in good. No different than inside of my business. I wanted to create something extraordinary. And that's what I want to talk to you about on Coffee with Shanda. I want to talk to you about creating something extraordinary in your career, something extraordinary in your business, and then allow it to spill over into your relationships. And if you're already great at relationships, and let's say your relationship is just incredible, then you can take some of those skills and look inside your business and go, what am I doing in my relationship that I'm not doing in my business, in my career? So what I wasn't doing in either was having a good amount of communication. In my business, I wasn't having a good amount of communication, and inside good enough. And inside of my marriage, we weren't having weekly meetings. Now my husband and I have a daily meeting, right? So we've gone from not even being able to get a weekly meeting on the books to having a daily meeting. And that daily meeting sometimes is 10 minutes, sometimes it's 45 minutes like it was the other day. And we really connect and we really figure out what's working and what's not working. Really, actually, it's not even what's not working. It's more about what we're creating and what's working. And it's been extraordinary. I've done the same thing inside of my business over the last month, and certain areas inside the company have massively up-leveled because I've taken the time to sit down and communicate and work through, what are we really doing here and what does it really look like? Okay, so now going into next year. So I have a client right now who I love, by the way, and has been wildly successful with me or inside the community. And she's one of those people who went from startup to over $200,000 in her first year, and actually in her first 6-7 months inside of our PACE program. And she now, I don't know exactly where she's at right now, but she's probably somewhere in the $500,000 range. I know she's close to the 800, but let's just call it 500,000 to be safe and integrous on this live with you. But why she's been able to create that is because of the fact that she stayed on one focus and she went deep. So she figured out her lead gen. She didn't necessarily have to figure out her message or her product. I tweaked her messaging, positioning, and then things exploded, right? But before I even tweaked anything, she had already done over $200,000 in her first 6-7 months. So why am I sharing this with you? Because if you can manage your mind, you can start to think like a millionaire. And you might not have the millions in the bank yet, or maybe you do, but it'll come. And it comes from the way that you focus. It comes from the way that you make decisions. And the sabotaging piece is when you start, when you hear yourself start to make decisions about, this never lands right because people overuse this. But when you start to make decisions from your comfort zone, it doesn't really work right. So I'll give you an example. There's a dinner coming up in Los Angeles, and it is right before we head out to the Polar Express. And so it's literally right before. And so see that? I really don't want to drive to LA and drive 2.5 hours, go to this dinner, and then probably get home at 12 or 12:30 at night, maybe even 1 o'clock in the morning, and then get up. I think we have a 6 or 6:30 a.m. flight. And we have a toddler. So that probably means that I would maybe have 3 hours of sleep. And I don't really want to do that. And I can justify not going a million times because I don't have to. It's not a business meeting that moves my company forward. It doesn't do any of that. However, the people at this dinner are incredible, and we were invited to come to this dinner. And I don't want to go. And so why am I sharing this with you? Because I want you to identify when you talk yourself out of success. I want you to identify when you talk yourself out of success. I do it, you do it. So let's be humble enough to admit when we do it. The scenario is are you strong enough or able to manage your mind? I was going to say smart enough, but I guess it is outsmarting the thoughts to do it anyway. And do it with really a joyful mentality. Are you able to do that? And in my understanding that I've seen over and over and over again is that we don't do it alone. And why? Because we logic our way back into the box. We logic our way back into our box. And that's why what happens is we see the same patterns happening in our life and in our finances over and over and over again. So I'm going to tell you something. Hard work is not the only thing that will get you into making money. In fact, it will get you a paycheck. It will not get you quantum growth. What gets quantum growth and stability to stick and stay forever is you focusing on the right thing at the right time and managing your mind not to live from convenience. So let me let you into my mindset here with the dinner. I'm thinking to myself, I really don't have to go. And the truth is I don't. I really do not have to go. And it doesn't logically make any sense because of the fact that we're getting up super early in the morning and we don't want to be tired. And it's a great family event that we're going to with our family, so we don't want to be tired. We're also meeting really dear friends of ours, so we don't want to really be tired with them. And then we have a long drive when we get to Arizona to go to the Polar Express. And so it just doesn't make any sense. I don't know if I'm going to get anything from the dinner. I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know if I want to be tired. Actually, no, I don't want to be tired. And I definitely don't want to do 5 hours of driving that day. And so do you see how I can build a really good story against this? What got me out of that story was a millionaire mindset, which was, you know what? It's irrelevant what I get. It's all about building relationships with amazing people. There was a time in my life that I used to pray that I got invited to dinners like this. And I know the timing isn't amazing in my life because I've got all these other things that I'm going to do with our family and our friends, but it's the right thing to do. And then here's where the kicker came in. I literally thought to myself, Shanda, you have big visions for 2020. I know that you guys have big visions for 2020. And in order for those visions to happen, we have to up-level our actions and how we show up, which is not pushing. This isn't pushing going to LA. This is actually realizing that like what seems like resistance to me is really no big deal to somebody else. And if I think that drive or one night of less sleep is really too much resistance, then where's that energy going to lay over my actions for 2020, which is going to require me to reinvent myself in a different way because I've never been able to create the results that we're going to create next. So it's like whatever you're going to create next means that you've got to let certain things go. And for me and for you, there's resistance that we have to let go of. Resistance is the holy tether. The resistance holds us down. And so in order to go, so it's like we can have the biggest dreams on the planet. And my experience, somebody might prove me wrong on this, but my experience is I've actually never seen anybody just hustle their way to their biggest dreams. It's a part of it because you got to work through that resistance, right? But it's not just about work ethic. It's about looking at the areas that you're resisting, like driving to Los Angeles or whatever that ends up being for you right now. I guarantee you've got something right now that you could just pass on, where it just doesn't need to happen in your life. And if you just pass on it, it might just look like a dinner, right? It might be packaged like that. But the way that, whether you call it the universe or God or whatever it is that you call it, the way that you up-level your leadership is to look at the package that you could just let go, like the resistance, like the dinner that I'm going to just let it go and not up-level your leadership in this. So I want to encourage you to test me on this because you don't have me in your head unless you grab our cyber sale that's on right now, which I actually did put the link in the description, which by the way, it's $17. It's $17 a month and it's pocket coaching where I can be in your ear every week, every Monday, showing you how to think about your plans throughout the week. That's not what we do on Coffee with Shanda. I don't do that on Coffee with Shanda. I bring different topics on this live Monday through Friday, but I actually don't coach the scenarios that I coach with our clients, which I do in pocket coaching. So if you want that, I recommend that you grab it. It's up in the description area, and there's no contract. So you absolutely do not have to stay on $17 a month. But it is a smart way for me to get inside your mind and for me to help you think through some of these things that help you become a millionaire or a multi-millionaire, depending on wherever you're at in 2020. So my client that did over 200,000, I think it was 250,000 a year, she was not shy about messaging me, and she still isn't. I know what she's going through right now. She wants to write a book right now. It's a bad move. It's putting things in the wrong order. And even though somebody else in our community said, I think that's a great idea, and who knows who else has said that to her, it's not a good idea because she's only got 2 years under her. The first year is just figuring it out. Like, it's like, what am I doing? It's like, usually it's just getting by. The second year is figuring it out. And the third year is knocking it out of the park. And so like the second year, you start to kind of know what you're doing. The third year, things click and they grow. If you're on the third year of your business and you're not finding that things are clicking and growing, then chances are you need more input inside your mind. You need more ability to manage your mind as you're working through, your decisions. Everything is a decision away, everything. But my experience in coaching thousands of people at this point is that whatever you prioritize right now is going to be the thing that makes it work. So when I was in I am in my relationship, but in my relationship, when I wasn't prioritizing communication, it didn't matter what I did, I couldn't get any traction. When I was in my business and I didn't communicate, I didn't bring the same skills where I really enhanced and really got better at our meetings inside the company and our impact filters and the things that we use to be able to clearly hit deadlines. When that was lacking, that communication was lacking inside my business, then what happened was people were frustrated. So frustrated in the marriage, frustrated in the business. What happens at that point is that it doesn't matter how hard you work, you don't get the traction that you could. Let me help you get the traction that you can. Grab my cyber sale, which is in the description of this live. It's $17 a month. You can cancel anytime. Every Monday, I will send you a pocket coaching. I promise you, you will make better decisions. So now let me go back to my client that wants to write a book. If she goes and writes a book this year, which, by the way, writing a book is amazing. It's amazing lead gen. It's an amazing credibility. It's an amazing process to do. I have a book. It's called Core Calling. It's amazing. But the challenge is because she's on the second year of her business. She's just figuring out her avatar. She's just figuring out how to grow a sales team. She's just really still needs to figure out like her executive assistant role. There's fundamental foundational pieces that she needs to figure out. And as she figures those out in this third year in business, she's set up that she could explode the lead gen, right? So what she thought was, if I do the book, it's a great lead gen. The challenge is it's a harder lead gen than the way that we've actually taught her how to build her list. So my point is that if she does that, she's going to have a harder learning curve to the top. And that one little tweak of me being able to get inside her mind and pocket coach her was the thing that's going to, hopefully she'll take the coaching, but I think she will. She always has. That little moment is invaluable for your company growing. So let me help you. Let me help you in 2020 every week on Monday. Let me help you get into your mind, make better decisions, because I promise you, it doesn't have to be as hard as you think. Now, I'm not saying growing a business is easy at all, but what I can tell you is the way that you deal with your emotional triggers, the way that you focus, how you actually think about your activities throughout the week, it matters more than anything I can tell you. So if you're still working off to-do lists, you still have a running paper of things that you need to get done. If you're still in a situation where you're spinning and you can't figure out how to get out of that spin, then grab my cyber sale offer for you today. Grab it. Don't be crazy. Grab it. It's $17 a month. If you don't want to do more than 1 month, you can cancel it. But don't be crazy, because we're definitely going to start raising the price to that. Okay, you guys, I'm going to see you tomorrow on 7 a.m. Coffee with Shanda. And who else has their Christmas trees up? I want to know. Who else has their trees up? Isn't that pretty? You guys, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for allowing me to be a part of your life. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.